Can you help? Can you help me? Can you help? Self-helpless! Can you help? Can you help me? Can you help? Self-helpless! Can you help? Can you help me? Can you help? Self-helpless!
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Self-Helpless podcast. I'm Delaney Fisher.
I'm Kelsey Cook.
And I'm Taylor Tomlinson.
And before we dig into all the juice, we just want to kick off with some announcements. We want to welcome our new Facebook admins, Dean and Aubrey. They're going to be in charge of the Self-Helpless podcast Facebook group from now on. They are just fantastic. Aubrey has a master's in social work. She's a therapist. Dean is a podcaster, author, has experience working in diversity and inclusion. They are just crushing it. So head over to the Self-Helpless Podcast Facebook group if you haven't joined already. If you just want to be a part of an online community where people are dedicated to personal development and just making the world a better place, go and say what's up. Just a very supportive place. And then we also want to welcome our new associate producer of Self-Helpless, Humaira. Oh my God. We are so happy to have her. It's like been her first official week on the job. She's doing just such great work. And we're also very proud of our former associate producer, Lauren, who ended up getting a full-time job as a director at a university. So best of luck. We love her, very proud of her, and so thrilled to have Humaira on board. So yes, that does it for the announcements, everybody. Yay!
Awesome.
Get into the juice is a new one.
Yeah, that is a new
before
one.
we get into the juice.
Yeah. Even your quotes are becoming vegan because it used to be let's get into the meat, and now you're so LA.
Let's dig
Hit
into
that
meat.
tofu.
Yes.
That's right.
We have a quotable. It says, man's capacities have never been measured, nor are we to judge what we can do by any precedents. So little has been tried. What people say you cannot do, you try and find you can.
Can you read that one again? Let me have that sink in.
That felt like 5 quotes in one. Okay. Man's capacities have never been measured, nor are we to judge what we can do by any precedents. So little has been tried. What people say you cannot do, you try and find you can. That's a strange one.
I'm struggling with this.
I'm just
That's
gonna, let me spark
That's
notes.
just a really wordy way of saying you can do anything.
Right.
Yes.
That's what it sounds like. Is that people can judge whether they think they can do something without actually trying to do it, maybe?
Mm-hmm.
Like the limits, the limiting beliefs get in the way.
Yeah, boy.
This is why I love that we get so many recommended quotes now, because instead of it always just being us going like, oh, the quote, like sometimes we're like, wait, we're dumb. Wait.
And then that quote was by Bradford Angier. Is that right? Yeah. Oh gosh, I don't know who that is.
I needed somebody to give me spark notes of that one sentence. Like that's how not with it I was with that quote. I was like, somebody needs to make this one sentence easier for me.
Somebody please email us and tell us what this quote means. Please quote this quote. And that was submitted by our helpster Eddie. Thank you so much for submitting the quote. We'll try our best to figure what this is, going forward. But if you want to submit quotables that will end up on the show, you can join our Patreon at patreon.com/selfhelpless if you're interested.
Starting this episode off with a lot of credibility on our part.
And who needs help? Anybody?
What does quote mean?
Oh, well, the topic we're doing today is something that we actually touched on a long time ago when we had Jessica Michelle Singleton on as a guest. She talked briefly about her attachment style. So today we're going to do a full episode about attachment styles, kind of talk about what our quiz results were. I know you guys might be talking about what your partner's styles are and how that affects your guys' relationships and kind of a background on it. So shall we dig into it?
Yeah.
What
are attachment styles, Kelsey?
Well, why are we doing it like that? I feel like I'm in kindergarten. So basically, attachment styles come from our relationship with our primary caregivers. And it kind of forms how we connect to the people around us as we get older, how we connect to our friends, to our romantic partners, to our family, to our kids, if we have kids someday. So depending on if you were given all of your needs as a child by your parents, that kind of affects how then you relate to other people. So if maybe they were unavailable emotionally, or maybe there for you but not able to provide things like food and shelter, maybe they were too overbearing, maybe they made you feel smothered, because ideally what they say is that you want that safe, nurturing environment where you feel like your needs are being met, but also as you get older, they give you the space to go be your own person, but also kind of show you like, hey, I'm still here, right? Like you feel like you have a safe place to come back to. So that creates what they have said are 4 attachment styles. And they are secure, anxious, preoccupied, dismissive, avoidant, and fearful, avoidant. So do you guys want to kind of get into some more info on it?
First off, your turn to read aloud.
I mean, well, before that, so glad that Kelsey gave us that background on it, because sometimes when I take this quiz, and I've done it multiple times, I feel like I failed the test after, where I'm like, oh, I'm a bad one, you know? Right. Based on what you just said, I think we can all agree it has nothing to do with you as a person. It has everything to do with your parents and how they did their job.
Yeah, no pressure to parents.
It's not about you. It's not about you. It's about your parents. This is like the person who doesn't want to work on themselves. It's like, nothing's your fault. It's all your mom. But yeah, I think that's interesting. Okay, so research has found we typically have an attachment style. We connect with people in the same pattern over and over again. It's based on the works of Bartholomew and Horowitz. There are 4 adult attachment styles, as Kelsey said. Attachment theory was extended to adult romantic relationships in the late 1980s by Cindy Hazan and Philip Shaver. And as Kelsey mentioned, they have 4. The first is secure, which is basically, I'm okay, you're okay. Secure, low on avoidance, low on anxiety, is self-sufficient, comfortable with intimacy, wants interdependent relationships. So secure is the one you want. That's the one everybody wants.
That's what
if you get secure, you're doing great.
Right.
And also to be clear, very rarely is anybody like 100% one of the 4. You're usually spread out. You have a little bit of maybe something more of another, but your attachment styles can change over time and often do throughout your relationship experiences, therapy, healing your past traumas, stuff like that. So yeah, we'll get into that more when we share our personal quiz results, I think.
Yeah. I do like that this quiz gives you a percentage of each one that you are, because we should put the link in the show notes, because if you just Google attachment quiz, you could get to a lot of different places. And
this is an easy one.
Yeah. So I would take this one, because sometimes you do it and they're like, you're this and nothing else. And you're like, okay. But this is triggering. Like, oh, you have a little bit. Yeah, you got a little bit in each bucket here. Yeah. Next is anxious preoccupied, which is I'm not okay, you're okay. Low on avoidance, high on anxiety, is overly involved and dependent, wants excessive intimacy, and clings to relationships. Yeah. Dismissive avoidant is I'm okay, you're not okay. They are high on avoidance, low on anxiety, counter-dependent, uncomfortable with intimacy, often appear distant, and do not share their feelings often. Fearful avoidant is I'm not okay, you're not okay. Great. High on avoidance, high on anxiety, wants approval from others, is fearful of intimacy, sees relationships as painful or work. Adults with these attachment styles differ in a number of significant ways. how they perceive and deal with closeness and emotional intimacy, their ability to communicate their emotions and needs, as well as listen to and understand the emotions and needs of their partners, modes of responding to conflict, and expectations about their partner and the relationship, or your internal working modes.
Yeah.
So something for everybody.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, this is we talk about this sometimes on the podcast, like, why didn't they teach us this in school? This should be absolutely, you should have to take this quiz when you're in school, required learning to see where you're at, because God, then you go enter into your first adult relationships and you have no idea what the fuck you're doing.
Yeah,
absolutely. I think it's fascinating that you can have, first of all, that your attachment style can change throughout your life, but that you can have different attachment styles depending on who you're interacting with.
Yes.
That really blows my mind.
Right.
So you're just shape shifting depending on how you feel, the other person is reacting to you or whatever. So, all right, you guys. So what was everybody's results? Shall we start?
Drum roll, please.
I'm gonna drink the juice, baby.
Well, Delaney, why don't you go first? Because I have a feeling like you and Cam and your boring, secure life, you're stable.
Just say secure and shut up.
Yeah, why don't you get it out of the way?
Sorry, I'll give you the percentage breakdowns, okay?
So weird. I got 62% Jesus. I'm just Jesus.
I guess I'm Jesus.
Will you coming of Christ? Did you guys get that result?
Oh my God. Will you read them from your most high percentage to your lowest?
Yes. Let me pull it up here. I made Cam take it as well, so I'm going to tell you both of ours. Okay, so the most I got was secure, which is 60%. And then this
60%.
You're so hard.
So sorry.
60% secure.
60% secure. And then I have two other ones that are each at 20%. One is the dismissive avoidant and one is the fearful avoidant. Those are at 20%. And then it's 0% anxious preoccupied. So I feel like this is relatively accurate.
This is so interesting, right?
I feel relatively secure. And then anytime it's a potential conflict, that's when I either dismiss or avoid. So as long as, I don't feel like any conversation I'm going to have or whatever could be a threat to the relationship, I feel very secure.
Okay.
So
that makes sense.
Because I think that also kind of stems from the fact that maybe, I don't know if we've kind of talked about this before, if like children of divorce feel a certain way where it's like, if there's going to be conflict, there's a good chance the relationship is going to end. I don't know if that's where it stems from or not, but for me, it's like, oh gosh, if this person, if I say this thing and they don't like me anymore, or like I've let them down or whatever, the relationship might end. And if I'm not ready for it to end, then I will avoid conflict. That's how I kind of feel. And I'm trying to get better at like, no, just because there might be conflict doesn't mean the relationship is going to be over. It means you can talk about it and then mend and grow and get stronger. And I don't have a problem discussing conflict in a romantic relationship. It's really only familial and friendships. So like for some reason, that's in a different category for my brain when it comes to conflict or, dismissive or avoidant. I feel like I'm pretty straight on with those ones.
Yeah.
And then Cam, you guys are fucking Cam. You ready for this? We basically got the same results, except Cam is 78% secure.
Are you kidding me?
We got the same results, but he's more secure. So he's 78% secure and 11% dismissive avoidant and fearful avoidant and 0% anxious preoccupied. So we're basically matched. He's just 17% higher in secure.
Can I airdrop him some of my trauma?
I know, seriously.
Can he just take on some other people's? Because clearly he's doing great and can handle it.
He's got the room for it. Yeah.
Emotionally, like, you know how rich people should be taxed more? Like, that's how I feel about Cam's emotions. Like, if you're that okay, it's time to give back.
It is time to give back. Wow. Well,
I think I'm going to set up Cam a burner phone. You can contact him anytime when you want to chat.
how you have the number tag where people can text you. We need to do that for Cam of just like, how do you do it?
Yeah.
Oh my God. I really, Cam seems like the type of person who, if you were just like, and this is what I'm dealing with, he'd be like, oh, so just do that.
Yeah. Oh, that's exactly how he is. We'll just stop. What do you mean just stop? How do I just stop?
But I have feelings. He's like, well, just don't.
Yeah, just don't have those. Just fine. It's okay. Let's hang out.
He seems so healthy and logical where he's just like, well, what's the point?
Yeah.
I can't control that. And we're like,
he really is. And as much as he talks about like, I'm not like a self-help person, his advice is very accurate. It's always the shortened version of what I end up getting to on my own. Like, I know that's the right thing. And I know I'll end up there, but for me, I need to go through lots of processes until I get to that shortcut version that he just dishes out, you know?
Right.
But I think this makes sense that we're matching in the attachment styles because he's the only relationship I've ever felt like very secure in and very comfortable in. Right. And I think that, you know, it's obviously two-sided where I don't know if I would have gotten this attachment style with other partners I've had. Yeah. Because I think depending on how they were acting, I maybe was a little bit more anxious or more, fearful, avoidant or whatever. So I think it speaks volumes that we are matching because I feel like this has obviously been the very different relationship for me than any of my past relationships.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. And you might answer some of these questions differently if you are single as opposed to if you're in a relationship, you know, like,
right.
I know one of the questions on there was like, I am uncomfortable being single, basically, where it's like, I'm afraid of being alone. And I was like, true. But if I were single, if this were, 3 years ago when I was single and we were starting this podcast, I would have been like, no, I'm good. Like, it's so dependent on where you're at.
I feel like if we all took the quiz with a different person in mind, we'd have very different results. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like this was very kind of general. I was thinking about friends and my romantic partner and also family. It was like more general. So I don't know. I think that's really interesting too. But
in general, like how do you, how well do you make boundaries in general? How comfortable do you feel sharing your feelings with people? Those sort of things.
And it's, there's some questions that are like half true and you have to kind of like go by percentage even on the question. Like there was one, the question was like, these are all true, false questions. So a lot of them are statements and then you answer true or false if that's how you feel. And one of them was, it takes me a while. I can be like socially present with my friends, family, and partner, but it takes me a while to trust people and share vulnerable things about myself. And while it takes me a while to trust people, I am very open because I'm a comedian and people already know everything. So that was a weird one where I was like, I think it's true because the important part is trust and like feeling vulnerable, but I'm just an oversharer because of my job.
Same.
So you have to like, Kels?
I agree. It took me a second with a few of the questions where it was like you said, 2 sentences within the question and they seem to not contradict each other necessarily, but it didn't make me feel totally confident that it was true or false. And that's kind of hard when a quiz like this is on the shorter end, because it feels like every answer you give counts quite a bit into like what percentage you're going to put towards the 4 categories. But again, it's, I think within reason, even if you answer 1 or 2 questions that maybe you're not totally sure on, I think you're still going to get a result that's pretty accurate.
I actually screenshotted a few of the questions that for myself, and then I'll be done with my section. And then you can move on to your guys.
What were they?
So this one, I feel naturally comfortable and safe expressing my feelings and needs to loved ones. Yes, unless I feel like it's a conversation that could end the relationship. So there's like, it's yes, but. So I'm like, if I'm like, oh God, I'm just feeling not great today because this happened in XYZ. But if I'm like, look, I'm having, I don't know how to move forward with this. So yes and no for that. And then another one, I feel, let's see. Oh, the ones that was like, I feel very upset when others infringe on my need for time and space, or I feel like I put others first. I'm never upset at other people for that. I'm upset at myself for not having better boundaries if I feel like I'm burnt or drained. And so that was another one that was like, yes, but no, because I'm not upset with them. You know what I mean? That was like, why am I not able to kind of set boundaries for myself?
Right.
And then this other one, I don't like making social plans with others in advance. I often fear being trapped by commitments with other people. That one is like yes and no. You know what I've honestly realized is that as I've gotten older and stuff, everything I do, my whole lifestyle is not the norm. Everything about my lifestyle is not the norm. So I know when I go into a social situation, chances are I'm going to be the minority in most things that we talk about. And for me, sometimes I already feel drained before even going into that situation. And so I find that I just would rather avoid it. And so I'm trying to find a happy medium with that. So that's kind of a yes and no, just depends on the situation, like the activity and the people, I think.
Yeah.
And then the last one is, if a loved one's behavior hurts me, I will express my feelings and try to understand what caused them to act that way. So I do only half of this. I usually know what caused them to act this way, but I don't tell them it hurt me. So it's like, you know, if these questions maybe split up a little bit differently, then I think, I don't know, maybe it'd be more accurate. But those were the ones that were like the catch-22 for me. But what were your guys' results?
Do you want me to share
mine,
Tay?
Do you want to go? Yeah, go ahead.
Sure. Okay. So I was 40% secure, and then I was 33% anxious, preoccupied, and then a tie of fearful, avoidant, and dismissive avoidant with 13% of each. So mostly secure, which I'm happy about. Anxious, preoccupied, not like super far from second place. And I know it's interesting, even talking in therapy, my therapist is like, your attachment style has changed even since being in here with me. Let alone, I think I look back to like 10 years ago, the relationship I had with the borderline partner, I think I was very, very much more anxious, like predominantly anxious then. And also, like we said, certain partners bring out more attachment styles in you than other ones. But so I also think this is pretty reflective of my childhood where, mostly secure. Like I've been very fortunate that I've felt unconditional love from both of my parents. But obviously my dad leaving and choosing to, start a new family. Once you're an adult, now I'm able to look and go, if he wasn't happy, then that's not a good way to raise kids either, necessarily, to like stick around just for the kids if you're going to be unhappy. I get that. It is hard though as a kid. I mean, when you're a kid, you don't understand that. It just feels like, okay, well now for the rest of my life, I'm only going to see my dad half of the time. Why was I not enough? Like, why didn't he love me enough to want to see me all the time? It kind of automatically makes you feel like you're not the priority. Right. And again, Dad, if you're listening, so I don't ever want to make family members feel guilty or bad. Like I understand I'm an adult. It's just, that is unfortunately part of the byproduct of what happens with kids of divorce sometimes is, even if you are told over and over, it's not your fault, I don't love you any less, which I do agree. Like, it's not, I don't truly feel like it's my fault or that he loved me any less. But the result of leaving is that you are making a decision that new partner is kind of ultimately more important than seeing your kids every day, being in the same, raising your kids every day in that house together.
Yes. The actions speak louder than words for the kid in that period of time.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because something similar happened to me as well, Yeah, definitely. I understand that.
Yeah. but yeah, I mean, I'm lucky to have a great relationship with both of my parents. I feel like I can talk to both of my parents. I feel safe around both of my parents, which is, I think, why once doing therapy and healing that trauma of being a kid and going through all that, then you can change your attachment style and become more secure and stuff like that.
Yeah. Are there, do you want to read some of the anxious preoccupied stuff that you felt like, some of those traits that you were like, ooh, that is me, or that resonates with me, or I do this sometimes, but not always?
Totally. Let me pull up the...
While you pull that up, Kels, I can give a little overview of each one. So you guys, the quiz that we took is personaldevelopmentschool.com. There's so many different quizzes. Of course, this is attached to like a school with courses and stuff. So take a mix of them if you want, but that's what we're going off of because it's short and sweet. So the fearful avoidant, basically, do you often flip-flop between hot and cold, sometimes confused about how you feel towards your loved ones? The anxious preoccupied is, do you find that your romantic partner or loved ones pull away frequently? The dismissive avoidant, do you find yourself fearing commitment and constantly craving space and freedom? And secure, do you find you can effectively communicate and feel vulnerable in your relationships? So that's a little overview they give.
Yeah. And we can dive deeper too into each one if you want. So, okay. So just like more info on the anxious preoccupied. It says, this means you really value a strong emotional connection in your relationships. However, this also means you tend to self-sacrifice in these relationships in order to keep those around you happy, and that your sense of self can be derived from outside of you. Unfortunately, this means that the value you place on relationships supersedes your own needs and causes you to essentially abandon yourself. So I totally agree that it was easier for me to do something like that in my younger years. And I think I have a better sense of self now. And fortunately, I love my job so much, and that does take up a lot of my time and energy. And it's something I actually really enjoy making time for. And my, foosball, the podcast, makeup, I am somebody who has a lot of interests and has a strong sense of who I am and what I love to do. But yeah, I'm sure that obviously having the anxious preoccupied part still in me in certain ways, I have to make a very conscious effort in relationships to not let that start to come back in, of like putting somebody so far before me that I'm sacrificing my needs.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's those are my results.
So you were like pretty accurate.
Yeah, definitely.
Help.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, I guess it's my turn.
This feels like the 21 questions all over again.
Secure motherfuckers. Okay. So in first place, with a hot 33%, we have fearful avoidant.
Okay.
Followed, so closely, right on the heels, 29% anxious preoccupied.
Okay.
24% secure.
Hey.
Hey. And then 14% dismissive avoidant. So, we're jack of all trades here. All right.
Yeah.
We don't just put all our eggs in one basket. We put, a few more.
A lot of participants.
Avoidant.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's weird because you know what I thought I was going to get? I thought I was going to get anxious preoccupied, because listen to anxious preoccupied: fear of abandonment, dislike being alone or out of relationships for prolonged periods of time, fear of loss or disconnection in relationship, emotional hunger to get consistently closer, can appear clingy or needy, often want to move very quickly to a commitment in a relationship, very sensitive to rejection, and develop strong feelings quite easily. So again, that's pretty close to fearful avoidance. They were right next to each other, but I do think I relate to that probably just as much. And then fearful avoidant is fear of being truly vulnerable and expressing your inner feelings and needs, trust wounds, suspicion, and feelings of betrayal, experiences guilt easily. Okay, just kidding. This is me. Strong emotions, anger at times, great capacity for empathy, but struggle with empathy and kindness towards yourself. Feelings of ambivalence in relationships, swinging from hot to cold, hypervigilance, poor boundaries unless experiencing anger, and passionate but often emotionally volatile relationships. Yeah, that's okay. Never mind. You know what? I was wrong.
Figure it out, guys. It's fine.
Figured it out. It's fine. Yeah, I think that's pretty accurate. But I was sitting here listening to your guys' results and feeling very dumb. Sam also took it, and Sam got 40% secure, and then I think 20 in each of the other ones.
Oh, okay.
So for me, I was kind of like, okay, you mostly got secure, but also technically 60% of you is not secure.
Is insecure.
So I think we're all, everybody has some stuff to work on. And he's like, I mean, yours is a lot. I'm like, well, I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, it's interesting because you're saying that you relate so much to the anxious one and, did test for part of that, but the fearful avoidant, that is like 50% of it because it's wanting to feel love and connection, but being afraid of letting somebody get so close that you get hurt. Yes. So there's a constant anxiety with that of like, I don't want to be smothered. I don't want my independence taken away from me, but I want love and I need love, but I don't want somebody to get so close that I get hurt. Like there's so much anxiety in that.
Yes. Yeah. And I mean, there was stuff with anxious preoccupied that I thought really, really characterized Sam, but then there's other things about it. Like, we both have similar things of like fear of abandonment and fear of loss and disconnection in a relationship, but like he has no problem being alone or out of relationships for a long time. So yeah, I think everybody has certain things where you're like, oh, that's totally me. But then the next 5 things aren't.
Right.
So yeah, I felt like that was generally pretty accurate.
Yeah, I felt it was a pretty accurate quiz, honestly.
Yeah, we've taken other ones before on the show. I feel like
not this specific quiz. I don't think we've taken it. I don't think we've taken attachment styles.
I don't think because I didn't know mine until we took the quiz.
So yeah, I like that this one made a point to say, in like parentheses, a lot of the time, also, how do you function within your friendships and your family, as opposed to just like with my romantic partner, this is how I feel. Because when you are looking at your overall approach to relationships, I think you just have to think about how you feel the majority of the time, because you are going to feel differently in a relationship as opposed to how you would feel if you were single, maybe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I wonder, I don't know if you guys feel this way, but I mean, I was an only child until I was like 11, and then there was a huge age gap with my siblings. So I played by myself. I did everything by myself. Sometimes I'd have play dates with other kids. Sometimes I'd have play dates with cousins. But the majority of the time, I played by myself. I entertained myself, whatever it was. And I feel like I just learned how to be very self-sufficient because of that, like self-soothe, entertain, all that. I don't know if that comes into play with the kind of secure attachment where I'm like on my own. I know that I'm fine. Like I can make myself happy. I know what I like. Right. So I'm not sure if that's part of it, but I was not a super social kid just because I lived by myself with my parents, whether it was with my mom or my dad at the time. And then when my siblings got around, it was like, what am I going to do with a 1-year-old when I'm 12? We're not like playing, the same kind of stuff. So I feel like in a lot of ways, I was my own best friend.
Yeah. This baby sucks at volleyball.
Fuck this.
I wonder if that's partly why, because you said that you used to be a little bit more avoidant. In previous relationships, you were kind of more the one that was like, I'm good. Like, don't need you to get too close. Like, I'm cool. Because part of you being alone and learning how to self-soothe did make you very independent, which can be, I mean, it's so important to be independent, but it can also, like, if it's based on trauma or whatever, then obviously that can be bad.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. I don't think to reach out to people for help. And some of my friends have been like, "Why don't you ever call me if you need help?" I'm like, "I don't know. I just did it. I just did it." You know what I mean? At home,
Yeah.
or I looked into it, and it's never anything personal of like not wanting to connect with friends or family or my partner. It's like, "Oh, I just took care of it. Now let's, go
Do you feel
this
like you'll
thing."
be seen as weak if you ask for help?
I don't think so, because if I really need help with something, I think if it's like logistics that I cannot figure out, if I need to like build a website, I'm reaching out for help. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
I'm not trying to do that shit on my own. But
Oh my God.
like,
what did you do with your phone the other day where you didn't know how to do something? I had to teach you how to do it. Oh my God. Oh my God. Okay. So right after, oh my God. The day after 4th of July here in Los Angeles, the air quality was terrible because everybody had been setting fireworks off. So I could scroll to the bottom of the weather app and it shows you what the air quality index is. And Delaney was like, you said something like, "What's the temperature today?" And then you were like, "Hold on, I'm going to go to weather.com." And I was like, "What? Like, what do you mean?" Delaney didn't have the weather app on her phone. So every time she wanted to check the weather, she would go to weather.com. I mean,
No,
Taylor,
like
how do you
Los
feel about that?
Angeles,
Did you react the same way that I did when I heard that?
I just Google it.
How do you not? It just comes with your phone, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
I delete anything I don't use. If I don't recognize the app, I delete it.
I was like, how did you even not have that? That comes with your phone.
The first thing I
You
do
made your own life harder.
like, okay, here's the weather app. This is how you add different cities.
That's hilarious.
So with that, I absolutely love to get help with that kind of stuff. If I don't know how to do something, that's the first thing I do is reach out for help. But if it's like,
doesn't sound like you reached out. It sounds like you got caught.
I didn't know there was a better way. I didn't know there was even something to reach out about. If I had known, like, oh, I know that there's a weather app out there, I just don't know how to set it up, I'd probably reach out to one of you guys, be like, yo, can you help me set this up? But if I don't know
there
what's
are like
out there,
12 apps to find a soulmate. And you think there's not an app telling you how hot it is outside?
I thought my system was pretty simple. I just Google Los Angeles weather, I look at everything, and then, I find what I need. But it does take a lot longer than the weather app.
See, you know what it is? Kelsey and I are I'm sure there'll be people who are like, I do that too. Kelsey and I are on the road so much that we want to look at a list of cities.
Yeah.
Because in a given day, we could be at 4 of them if we're taking flights and we need to know, like, is it snowing? Is it going to affect this? Like, so I'm sure there are people who are going to identify with you, Delaney, and feel like we're being unfair. And then there's going to be other people who are going, what is actually wrong with you?
It's so funny over the years. People keep coming to Delaney's defense who really think that we're like actually being mean to her. I see comments like, they always gang up on Delaney. They always give Delaney such a hard time. And I'm like, I'm sorry, have you not heard any of the things she said? Like, are we just supposed to be like, yeah, that's normal?
Also, Delaney's the healthiest of all of us. She can take it.
Yeah. Oh my God, dude. Yeah. So, I get help. I think it's just like, if well, I'm trying to think of an instance. Let's say that I need to schedule a dentist appointment or something. Or maybe I need a referral for a doctor or something. I will probably just research a couple doctors versus mass text my friends being like, yo, who's your doctor? Does that make sense?
Who's your doctor?
Yeah. You know what I mean? So I think sometimes I'll just kind of take it upon myself to do that, where I might get a better referral and better information if I just reached out to somebody. But I think I've been so trained to just take care of it on my own, even if it doesn't get me the best results, maybe.
That makes sense. I kind of think that's good. Like, I think there are times where I honestly, for as long as I've known you, it seems like if you really need help, you will ask for it.
Right.
But I kind of admire that you're so self-sufficient.
Yeah.
Who knows, guys? Who knows what's
here's
happening?
the thing, because I've definitely been one of those people who might have said that to you, where I'm like, just reach out more or something. And I think that's more about the person who's saying it to you than it is about you. Because I've never thought about this until right now, this second, so excuse me while I formulate words. But I think if I have a friend who like doesn't need me or doesn't reach out, and I reach out a lot, I start to feel like I'm like taking advantage of the friendship or something, when really they just don't need as much as I do in the way of like, I don't know, talking through things or something.
Yeah.
So I think sometimes I'll get insecure about it, but just like need help more. So that it's okay that I need help.
Yeah.
Oh,
you know?
Oh, yeah.
That makes
then
sense.
the same way your ex-boyfriends were like, you don't even like me. Like it's about
Right.
it's about them going like, why don't you like me enough?
A lot of them that didn't feel like needed by me or something, and I'm like, I just did the thing. So why don't we just have dinner or something? I don't know. I don't know. It's weird. Maybe I'm secure avoidant. Is that a thing? Maybe I'm making a new category.
Well, that's kind of your top two together would be that, I suppose. But
fearful and dismissive, avoidant and secure.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like if I have a friend who I only talk to once every 6 months, I'm totally like, wow, it was great catch up. I don't feel any like, why haven't they reached out to me in more times than once or twice a year? You know what I mean? Like, I think I don't know what it is. We pick up where we left off. Like, I think a lot of people have friends like that, where maybe they keep in touch a couple times a year. They see each other once a year, whatever. And I don't feel like the friendship is not strong because of it. Or, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I can feel just as strongly about them as somebody I talk to once a week.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's so common with friendships in particular, that we all have certain friends we're closer with or stay more in touch with. There's also lots of talk about how like avoidant. So Tay, the name for your primary one is called fearful avoidant or anxious avoidant, right? Like both those terms are interchangeable, which is a little confusing because then like the other one is called anxious preoccupied. It's like, I wish they just could boil it down to one word for each one.
Right.
But basically there's, it's a very common relationship is an attraction between an anxious and an avoidant. So like an anxious preoccupied and an anxious avoidant, because you're kind of naturally drawn to each other's energies where you're trying to fulfill each other's, like fearful avoidant / anxious avoidant wants that bond, wants that love, wants to feel that that's there. Obviously, so does the anxious preoccupied. But if a relationship is an energy field and you're both initially putting 50-50 in, if the fearful avoidant starts to slowly start to pull back a little bit of their energy out of fear, fear that it's getting too serious, fear that they're losing their autonomy, then the anxious person senses that there's missing energy, and now they start to put more of their energy in. And that's when you get that, the chase, pursue, the push pull. So that's a very common relationship dynamic, apparently.
Yeah, that makes total sense.
Yeah.
Or if you just pull back because you're busy.
True.
That's another thing. It's not always that you're afraid. Sometimes you're just busy.
True.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I have friends. My sister and my best friend are both like this, where they don't reach out if they're struggling. They like sort of get like, they just kind of like go boom and like take care of it internally. And then I'll find out like weeks later. And it used to drive me crazy because I'm not like that with my friendships. Like, that's not my love language. That's not what I need. I need to talk through things and like try to like figure it out and have someone hear me and be like, no, I get it. And so some of the people I'm closest to are like that, which I think is interesting. And I had to kind of get used to that and learn that it wasn't like about me. It's just how they deal with things. And I might just need to check in on them more. My grandma's like that too. My grandma's kind of like, you have to ask her a lot of questions for her to tell you if something's wrong. And I think those people in my life gravitate towards like taking care of people and just like taking care of themselves on their own, which I'm very envious of, but I'm just not built that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember in college when this is my freshman year of college, I got really close with a girl and we were like together every single day. You know, she was definitely one of my best friends at the time, did all kinds of stuff together. And then I joined the rowing team and I became a collegiate athlete. And so I therefore started spending more time working out and with my team and also with her. And it was just kind of like I diversified my friends and my interests and stuff. And I thought everything was fine. I was just seeing her a little bit less, but I would still see her. We'd have a good time. But she was really upset that I now was not able to eat lunch with her every day or see her every day or talk to her multiple times a day. And I was thinking like, oh, this is like great. I'm going to have her meet my new friends. They'll meet her. Like, well, I'll just be one happy family. And she ended up reaching out basically saying that she felt like that maybe I thought I outgrew her, or, you know, I'm like, oh, I was not even on my radar. I'm literally working out from 4 a.m. till, 9 a.m. every day. And then we had practices 6 days a week.
Wow.
It was just like, I was so busy with that and schoolwork and, adapting to, being a new college student. And also, I did have this other friend group now, but I also, cared about her. And she was super upset and I did not know how to deal with it. I'm like, I'm not going to stop rowing. I'm not going to quit my team. So why don't we just make an effort to see more of each other on the weekend or something?
Yeah.
So I think she had to kind of fill her time with other friends. So it kind of made her branch out, which I think is a good thing. Kind of like, she kind of got out of her comfort zone and had some more friendships and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's interesting. You just got to communicate what, and be like, hey, that's definitely not what I was thinking in the back of my head. Still love you just as much. Just, I got this other thing on my plate now.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the most valuable things you can learn about yourself and the people you're closest to are your attachment styles and your love languages.
Yeah.
Yeah. Totally.
Very true.
Those should be in school.
Those should absolutely be in school. Yeah.
It's so I'm so glad that we have this information now. So now you can just spot what's going on with all of your relationships and maybe act accordingly or talk about it. Hey, what are the expectations for this relationship on your part? Oh, you're thinking that we're talking every day this way and Z. I'm like, I don't know if I can do that, but I can do this. Like communicating the expectations kind of early on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well,
That was a good one.
We did. We got that juice.
Squeezed it.
Squeezed it, baby.
Squeezed it for everything.
You guys have some segments?
Yeah.
I don't know if I do.
I can share one real quick.
Yeah.
I have a good shit. I'm taping my first comedy special in a week.
Yay!
Which is so weird because it's a pandemic and it's like, what is happening? But yeah, it's either going to be released in October or February, and I will keep everybody posted, but they're doing like a socially distanced outdoor comedy special recording with a few of us. And so, yeah, I'm excited. I'm nervous and haven't been on stage, on an official stage for 4 months. It's just a very, very weird thing I'm doing, but it's like, well, this is life right now. And I'm embracing it. So
It'll be so fascinating
Love
to
it.
have this like recorded piece of history of you doing a comedy special at this time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like decades from now with your whole career, you'll be like, yeah, that's when I taped during a pandemic.
For real.
So
Yes.
crazy. So
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
I have a good shit. Cam and I went to Yosemite this past weekend, which was so freaking nice.
Yeah.
We went for his birthday. It's also our 4-year anniversary coming up in the next week. And oh my gosh, I can't believe I had never been to Yosemite when I've grown up like 5.5 hours away from it. You just, it's everything. It's mountains and rivers and lakes and ponds and meadows and just sequoias. I mean, it's just so beautiful. All kinds of wildlife, bears and deer and gray squirrels. And I just felt like really myself. You know? Like
Yeah.
I can hug this tree and nobody would judge me right now.
Oh boy.
Were you camping?
No, we stayed in the cutest little bed and breakfast. Oh my gosh. Shout out to Alex and Steve, the sweetest married couple who run this thing. Because they are following all these regulations for the virus right now. We felt very safe, very welcome and taken care of. They currently have like 7 rooms available that they well, not rent out, but you know what I'm saying. And their property is just this huge space with horses and all kinds of just, I'm going to post pictures about it. It was so beautiful, but like, yeah. And like everybody can social distance. So everybody has like their own little patio and their own room. And oh my gosh, it was just the best. It's called the Blackberry Inn. I highly recommend it if you are going to be going to Yosemite. I've never experienced anything like it. These people were like out of a movie where you like, you stay at the bed and breakfast in the middle of nowhere. And it's just like this sweet married couple who run it together and they're so warm and friendly. I just felt like they became our friends the whole weekend. They were so sweet. They cooked us great food. The breakfast was amazing. They packed us little lunches for our hikes. It was so nice. And honestly, like as a vegan, traveling and having somebody else like in charge of your food, it's always a gamble. And they were so accommodating. I seriously cannot recommend them enough. They had little hummingbird feeders everywhere. I mean, I was just so happy. Oh, it was just so nice. We like ate lunch on a log by a river and stuff. It was just, it was a really good quarantine vacation because Yosemite apparently is the size of Rhode Island. Didn't know how big it was.
Yeah.
So depending on where you go or what trails you go, you might not see other humans. Like you can really feel like you're in the middle of nowhere, or you can be very far away from people, like in the distance. So I felt like it was really nice. It was a really nice vacation where we felt like very safe and stuff like that. So it was very nice to get away.
Amazing.
And you don't have any service, so you're just forced to not do stuff.
Right.
Nice. That sounds so nice.
It was lovely. Highly recommend. Blackberry Inn, everybody.
Love it.
I don't have any good news, so I'm just gonna let us go out on a high note.
All good.
Like, I don't know if I don't even know if I have a segment right now. I'm just gonna bask in the warmth of your segment.
All good.
We got a new segment called No Segment.
Yeah. Pass.
New segment called I Pass.
Yes.
Pass. Hard pass.
Hard pass.
Hard pass.
Oh.
All right. Well, thanks so much for listening, you guys. Leave us we have an iTunes review.
Oh, yes, we do.
Oh, let's do it.
What are we thinking? This is by Megan Solis. She says, I'm officially a fan. I started listening to this podcast during my lengthy work commute to Chicago. It honestly makes the hour fly by and helps me open up the doors at our clinic every morning with a smile. I work at a pediatric therapy clinic. This podcast is not a one-trick pony like some other podcasts. One episode might be light and funny, and the next might hit on some heavy subjects, but always in a relatable, down-to-earth way. I'm officially a fan. 10 out of 10 would recommend. Oh, thank you.
That's very nice.
What a nice review.
Thanks, Megan.
You guys are the best.
Sweet.
If you haven't yet, please go leave us a 5-star rating and review on iTunes. It really helps us move up the charts. Maybe share with us what your attachment style is if you feel like it. We'll have the link to the podcast quiz. Or I'm sorry, the attachment style quiz in the podcast notes if you guys want to take it.
For sure.
All right. Well,
alrighty.
Hope you guys are doing well. We'll talk to you next week.
Love ya. Bye.
Bye. Thank you guys so much for listening to Self-Helpless. We really appreciate it and would love anything you can do to help the show grow and get the word out. So if you could leave us a 5-star rating and review on iTunes, that helps us move up the iTunes charts. If you can tell a friend, a coworker, a family member, anybody that you think would love the podcast, you can also screenshot an episode and share it in your Instagram, in your Instagram stories. Anything helps. Also, if you want more of the show, if you want bonus episodes, if you want to be able to be more interactive and help choose podcast topics, you can go to patreon.com/selfhelpless and join there. You guys can follow me on Instagram at Kelsey Cook Comedy, on Twitter at Kelsey Cook. You can go to my website, kelseycook.com, which has links to my online makeup course. You can listen to my album, Savor It, on Spotify and iTunes, and you can watch my foosball web series on YouTube called Wrists of Fury. How about you guys? Where can people find you?
You can follow me at Taylor Tomlinson on Instagram and Twitter. My website is ttomcomedy.com. And you can watch my 1-hour special streaming on Netflix right now called Quarter Life Crisis.
Awesome. And you can find me at DelaneyFisher.com. That's where you'll find information about my one-to-one consulting and my online courses. So basically, if you're a business owner, podcaster, or comedian, and you're looking to either start those things or grow those things, you can reach out to me for more information. I also have an email list at DelaneyFisher.com where I share my favorite tools, tips, treats, and free shit. And then we just want to say a big special thank you to our wonderful editor, Emma Erdbrink, and our fantastic associate producer, Humaira Nawaz.
And you can find everything that we all just mentioned at selfhelplesspodcast.com.